channel. My name's Mae.
And my name is Margie. Happy New Year. Today we want to present to you a little bit back and forth dialogue, but the case for grasses family free. So we went on a vacation in December, and we were gone for a week, and where we went skiing and stuff. There really wasn't,
There wasn't much to eat up there. It was pretty limited.
Yeah, and they didn't have a lot of, they didn't have things that were grain or grasses family free. We could have found a lot of gluten free, which had other grains in it, but that we don't eat that way. So, so we had to get really inventive in the food we ate. And did you eat more sugarcane than you normally?
Yes, I normally don't really eat any actually I don't eat any at all. I'm like completely sugar free. But like for some reason we were up there and I was cold and I was just craving it. Now the great thing is because we were in the mountains, I didn't have access to it for quite a few days.
Okay, so but I want to talk to her just as a back and forth kind of thing about, are grains destroying your health? That's an article that I have the link below, but and this is what she says in the first couple sentences. It seems everyone is giving up grains or going gluten-free these days. Even pet foods have gone grain-free, which is so funny because more people buy grain-free pet food than they actually go grain-free themselves, which I think is hysterical. We are grain-free, but we also buy grain-free pet food. Have you ever wondered if giving up grains would improve your health? Have you? I don't wonder. I know. But that is my case. What's your take on it?
Danny.
Oh, you're leaning out of the video.
Coming back into it. Okay. Can you repeat the question?
What is your case? Like, what's your standpoint? Are you questioning it a little bit for our video today?
I can question it a little bit as far as standpoint going. I mean, there are quite a few grains that I do agree with, like oats, especially for me since I'm gluten-free ever since I was little. I have had a really hard time digesting oats, and it's almost been to the same effect as gluten. And I really didn't eat much of rice very often. I kind of had it sporadically, but when I was younger, it was that's what a lot of people used in gluten-free food. And looking back, it probably did make me a little bit sick, but I don't think it hits you as hard as
But you were less sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, is less sick the answer or not sick the answer? Okay, so my contention is not sick.
Yeah.
So, grains contain proteins, carbohydrates, and fats.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got 3 different pieces of them, and many of the grains cause problems, and especially they're not very, surprisingly, people don't realize that they're not very easily digested. And if you go back, now science calls it the pre-Neolithic man, but they didn't eat a grain-filled diet. And when they find skeletons from that time period, that there is less than 1% of tooth disease or decay or bone disease or decay, right? And that sounds that's pretty.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But once we started growing grains, cultivating grains, how high do you think that percentage has went to in those, even in way back in the
probably at least
40, 50 years ago?
Well, there wasn't any, so probably 100%.
No, not 100%, because that would mean everybody is.
Okay, right. I was just thinking in terms of probably like 50, 30?
47%. And if you think about it too, how many dentists do you think there were 100 years ago?
Probably none.
Probably not very many. And
that
would be
teeth,
for
they
if
probably
you
just
broke a tooth or whatever. But yeah, they didn't have, 150 years ago, we didn't, you don't see all that stuff now. It's very commonplace. And not just that, people are getting smaller palates. Their teeth are growing together and they're having to use spacers and stuff. You didn't even hear about that. When I was a kid, there was maybe 1 or 2 people that had that. Now, it's very customary for kids to have that. And, but here's what I want to tell you, right? And this is going from this article. Autoimmune conditions are the #3 killer in the United States after heart disease and cancer.
That doesn't shock me. I know a lot of people with autoimmune disorders, and they're young, very young.
And a lot of people have a zinc deficiency and an iron deficiency. And did you know that 2 grams of grain flour, that's really a small amount. 2 grams is tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tiny. I don't even know if it's a quarter of a teaspoon. 2 grams of grain flour has enough phytates, and that's part of that plant, to almost completely block zinc absorption.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
fun.
you wonder too, okay, so you think about zinc. What do we put, what's one of the main ingredients in sunscreen?
Zinc.
Zinc. Now, why would we need zinc in sunscreen? Because we're zinc deficient. So our bodies don't
But I don't
protect us enough, and a lot of people burn like crispy critters.
So let's say for someone like me, I'm allergic to zinc.
I don't know that you're allergic to zinc.
Well, the zinc in sunscreen makes my skin
Yeah, but I
red
think that,
and
okay,
itchy.
so the sunscreen, but I think that was the chemicals. I don't know if it was the zinc. I think it might have been the chemicals. But we don't know either way because we thought it was unhealthy and we quit using sunscreen. But instead, we drink green tea, which has very much, because if you condition the skin from the inside, then the outside will take care of itself. And if your skin gets hot, what's that your skin telling you?
You need to go inside.
Yeah, get out of the sun till it cools down. Okay, common sense. We need common sense with being in the sun. Okay, so in 3.5 ounces of flour, so that's a little bit more, that there is enough phytates to decrease iron absorption by 80 to 90%. So think about that. Is that even a piece of bread?
No, it's like a,
That's like less.
yeah, way
Okay.
less.
And there's tons of gluten in cosmetics.
Yeah.
So when we put on cosmetics, it's like we're eating it.
Yeah, always
Might as
make
well.
sure you check the labels and ingredients for your makeup and even your cleansers and your moisturizers.
Absolutely.
Because I was using a moisturizer and I think I found out that it had a little bit of gluten in it.
Yeah. Okay, and then 50% of the people that have celiac or like Crohn's or IBS and stuff also have a problem digesting milk protein casein. But you know what's so interesting about that is if you think about it, it's a protein issue. It's a protein issue. And so anyway, that's part of that. It also, here's another point that she makes. I could read this whole thing, right? Which I want you guys to read. But it also binds with the glycoproteins in the gallbladder and the pancreas so that no hormones or bile are released for digestion. So if you hear about, oh, I just can't digest it. Well, did you know that the grains you're eating, including sugarcane, which is part of the grasses family, but all of those members are blocking your body from being able to digest your food. And so you have malabsorption.
Yeah.
We have malabsorption. And then undigested food is what gives us the bloating, the gas, the stool sits, that's gross. Okay, so the poop sits there, it doesn't go through, and then it gets reabsorbed by the body. That's kind of nasty.
That's very nasty.
Yeah, that's like sitting in the toilet instead of flushing it.
Dear Lord, Mom. Don't give me that image.
Just saying. Okay. Also, they block the intrinsic factor with B12. So it stops B12 absorption. And so you always hear about people being, oh, almost everybody is B12 deficient. You hear about zinc deficiency. All these people are iron deficient.
Yeah.
But yet we're eating it. We're causing this ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay? Also, it activates the endothelial growth factor 1, which stimulates the growth of the cells of lining the artery walls, which is what causes heart disease, right? So you get the thickening of the walls that causes, so even though number 3 was caused by grains, the number 3 autoimmune, really the grains are causing number 2, and we'll see later, number 1 too. So our biggest problem with diseases comes from the food we eat. So
really the manufactured.
Yeah, and
grains.
acne comes from that, and sugar does all these things too. You get brain fog, you get all these different things are known to be part of the sugars, but the sugars, that sugarcane and corn, high fructose corn syrup are part of the grasses family. So it's the same
Whereas like
thing.
more natural like maple syrup or like
stevia,
agave
or
beet.
different things like that. The beet sugar, the problem with the beet sugar is they're genetically modified, so you have to be careful with beet sugar. But Now you have the amylopectin in sugar. It's a sugar, right? So it's a sugar that's in wheat. Check this out: wheat, oat, barley, millet, sorghum, corn, kamut, rice, spelt, teosint, emmer, quinoa, bulgur, triticale, and amaranth. So that's even like the ancient grains that are supposed to be safe.
Yeah, I don't go near those as someone that's been
We can't eat them. We tried.
intolerant. I mean, I probably would have ended up as celiac if they hadn't caught it when I was so young. But yeah, I don't touch that.
Well, and quinoa, we have trouble with quinoa, amaranth. We tried all those when Mae first, she was sick. This is like 14, 15 years ago, and we found we just couldn't digest it, So anyway, but it also those grain families, those things that I told you that it raises the blood sugar higher than just sugarcane does, even.
Yeah.
And so it can cause type 2 diabetes. It can cause a metabolic problem. I mean, all these different things, because if your body, it's like, just like, if you ran a marathon but you didn't eat any food, you're going to run and run and run. But as that marathon goes on, the same effort doesn't give you the same speed. So you have to work harder and harder and harder. You're going to wear out. You would wear out and you wouldn't be able to finish. And that's what we're doing to our organs, our cells, our... Seriously, Danny? Okay,
Sorry.
So now the second problem that there is what's called the Bt toxin, and that's associated with the glyphosate and the Roundup.
Which is really
Yeah, this is so crazy. This is straight out of this. I'm going to read it to you. It's a note about GMO. Many seeds genetically modified is what that meant. But many seeds are genetically modified so that the plant crop will be resistant to Roundup, so that only the weeds in the field will be killed. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup, which is absorbed by the crop plants too. So we are eating glyphosate with the plants that are from treated fields. Glyphosate was also licensed as an antibiotic, and I don't know if you know, an antibiotic works by killing the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay?
I honestly, whenever I get sick or something, I try not to go on an antibiotic because my digestive system is such a wreck after.
Yeah, because everything's gone.
Yeah.
And so we've been eating glyphosate and killing everything in our intestines, which, wouldn't you think that would cause a problem? Okay, but now here is an extra one. The gene inserted into the genetically modified soy transfers into the, now that's soy, which is a different one.
Yeah.
Genetically transfers into the DNA of the bacteria in our intestines, and our bacteria start producing genetically modified proteins, pesticides from then on.
Wait, our body starts
So
making it?
that's where this glyphosate is such a killer. And
That's
it goes back to
really
the grains.
unhealthy.
The grains are processed and just poured with glyphosate and stuff, right? And then soy. Soy is also heavily genetically modified. And,
Yeah, really
And
bad.
that's where the problem is. Okay.
A lot of
Glyphosate.
gluten in soy too.
Yes.
Products.
So glyphosate, like many antibiotics, also inhibits our body cell mitochondria, which is the energy producers in our body, and which stops any cell exposed to glyphosate from functioning. So why do we feel like sludge? Well, if our cells aren't working,
Then we're not properly working because we're directly, our cells are us.
So now going down from this too, and I have talked about the prolamines before, which is the protein part of it, and so I won't go into that a whole lot. But lectins are the glycoproteins in all grains, but they also include quinoa, amaranth, buckwheat, which we could not digest buckwheat very easily either.
No.
Brown rice, seeds such as flax and chia, legumes including beans, peas, lentils, soybeans, and peanuts. They're a legume, not a nut, even though it's called peanut. And nightshade vegetables, which include tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, and white potatoes. And here's the thing that's so crazy. A lot of people that have celiac or have major IBS or Crohn's, or they have trouble with all those things that I've mentioned, right? But we don't put it together that it's all part of the same problem.
Yeah.
Now, they kill molds, fungus, and insects. or fungi and they're not a fungi, but fungi and insects. Lectins are resistant to almost all cooking methods. That's why, like if you can get sprouted beans or stuff, they're a lot easier to digest. Legumes, if your legumes are sprouted, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have that. Then we have, hang on, I'm gonna go on here. The grain proteins, right? Which is what I talked about before. And that was the prolamines and the glutenins. But the other part that I just wanted to add to this is that, okay. Well, and I did talk, I guess I can just read this part a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So it says, the grain proteins stick to the small intestine lining cells, causing damage and the death of the cells which absorb the nutrients. I can't absorb anything. This reduces the intestinal absorption of vitamin D, calcium, folic acid, all the B vitamins, vitamin C, and most water-soluble vitamins, iodine, and most of the trace minerals. Now, my sister cannot have iodine. And that goes along with this as well.
Not at
It all
all.
comes back to what we're
Just
eating.
to make sure it's not in her yarn
Yeah.
she uses to
And
make.
how we react to all these things. And your genetic makeup, your genetic DNA makeup is what's going to, the things that you're predisposed to
Yeah.
are going to be the areas. Like if you think about this, the autoimmune system, all these problems that go in there is like a smart system. So it knows where to attack.
Yeah.
It's just like a battlefield where you've really researched the other nation that you go into war against, and so you know where the weak points are.
Yeah.
That's what's happening inside our body. Okay, so
That's never good. We
Yeah.
really don't want a war to be going
okay,
on.
now here's another one. Molecular mimicry. That means that on the molecular level, the little level, like my
Yeah.
favorite little drawings for chemistry, that grain proteins look like our own body proteins. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Okay, and in the liver, pancreas, intestinal lining, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, joints, reproductive organs, brain, skin, and other organs. So what can happen is they can mimic what's going on there, and they can cause even further problems, okay? So when the molecule grain protein goes across the damaged small intestine into the blood, we make antibodies against the grain proteins, and these antibodies also attack our own organ proteins, and so that's where you get the inflammation, because all that battle is going on, and you can't, it's hard, it's tough to win a battle like that. And gliadin is a big factor in that. And now if you go get a blood allergy test, they test for gliadin now. So that wasn't on there even 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
No, they definitely didn't
So,
test for me when I was younger.
but you can have brain problems. Gliadin also interacts with the macrophages in the intestinal submucosa. Okay, and one thing that we really need is butyrate. Butyrate is a byproduct that really helps to feed the cells in the lining of our intestines and our colon. And you get that with green banana flour is a resistant starch, so it goes far enough along that the bacteria digests it and produces butyrate, and butyrate then feeds the cell. And so there's quite a bit of resistant starch in green banana flour, but even a higher amount in plantains. So those are good foods.
Which plantains are really good because
I
they
like
fill you up
plantains.
really quickly.
Yes, so we have all these things going on. I could keep reading. You know, there's more pages to this, but really, what I want to finish with is this. So just reading this one article, which is like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like a little bit's okay?
No, I don't feel like that at all. I mean, if I was going to eat something, for example, I know that if I was going to eat rice, in which I don't normally eat it, but if I was in a situation where it kind of came down to that, I would go for white rice opposed to brown rice. 'Cause
Yes.
white rice, I digest way easier than brown rice. But if I continue to eat it, I start to see problems.
Well, and the
especially
reason
with my
that you
digestive.
digest the white rice better is because the outer coating is
It's gone. It's stripped
but it's
away.
still got problems.
Yeah.
But okay, so that being said, the safest thing is to cut the whole grains and grasses family out. And that's why we're all about what we're all about. And because the cumulative effects of just a little bit, like if I went in my front yard and every day I took a shovelful of dirt and I put it in one specific pile, it might take me a few years, but I could build a mountain of a problem. And we're doing that inside of our bodies.
Yeah.
So that's the video that I wanted to have today. It's a new year. Why not a new
new outlook,
a
on
new
food.
focus on eating for health rather
Yeah.
than eating not too much that you don't get sick. There's a whole different mindset
Yeah.
there. How about eat to be healthy and eat to live rather than eat and hope not you're going to have a problem?
Yeah.
So, and if you have any more questions, we'd love to hear your feedback. Any
Yes.
questions, any feedback, anything that you want to know more about. I know I threw out a lot of medical terms in
Yeah.
that, but I would love to talk more on that
And
too.
even if you have any further questions, you can always shoot us an email at info@gfmamas.com.
That's right. Or look up our website
Yeah,
too
or
for
look
more
up our
resources.
website for different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll come out with more videos kind of like this where we're sitting down talking about things that are really affecting the industry right now.
Yeah, we're all about good health, and so to help.
Yep. And if you're wondering, this is Danny, my little dog. She may show up in some of our videos because she tends to cry when she's not being held. Anyways, thank you for coming to our channel. Subscribe and like down below. And have
Yes.
a great new year.
Thank you. Bye.